Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Business Blueprint. I'm your host, Sergio Davids. Joining me today is Kenny Simon, Senior Trading Strategist at CMTrading. How are you doing today, Kenny?
Very well, thank you, Serge. And how about you?
You know what? It is decidedly hot down here in Cape Town. It's 30
Oh, is that right?
plus, which
Okay.
is unseasonably hot for us. It's supposed to be,
Okay.
kind of spring 20s. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I am cooking, my friend.
That is good.
uh,
That is good. You're cooking a friend.
just
You're cooking. All
yeah,
right. Good,
just
good,
it's
good, good.
it's it's super hot. And
Yes, yes, that's the good.
speaking of super hot,
Yes,
the markets right now are is a bit volatile, especially in
that's
the
correct.
commodity
That's right.
segments. So today I thought
Yes.
we talk about gold, oil, and Bitcoin.
Brilliant.
They're all three assets that have been very volatile.
Okay.
Um, I would say Bitcoin more than most, but
Sure.
both oil and gold have seen massive sell-offs.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the overriding trend? Connecting all three, are they very different?
Yes. I guess, we can all say due to the geopolitical situations that's still going on. But I've got some very interesting news with regards to the Russell 3000 index. Now, what was reported through the Russell 3000 index or research with regards to stocks is that 3 weeks ago was the 1 year anniversary of a rates going up, especially with the US 10-year Treasury. So they found sort of a correlation of a yearly happening to coincide every year with rates going up or going down, and
Yeah,
that was reported by the Russell 3000. And they've also reported the fallen of stocks rates by 60%. I mean, 60% of stocks have actually
yeah.
experienced a fall of value and
Oh
shares
wow.
dropping. So this is quite interesting, and that's basically tied up with investors' appetite for safe havens as well,
Yeah,
and that's basically giving a lot of technical traders a great setup for
right.
gold prices structurally as well. So they're all aiming and targeting at some support prices at the 1800s level. So it has actually bounced up from the 1800
Yeah,
levels way back. So yeah,
especially if you
that's
consider this past year. I mean, it was
yep,
lagging behind, and then
that's
just
right.
in the last 2 months we've seen gold surge. Finally
That's
above
right.
$2,000 mark, and then
That's
it's
it.
dropped.
Yes,
But I see once again, it's shooting up. Um,
that is it.
Look, about a few weeks ago, right, the Fed
Yep,
announced that it was keeping you know rates sort of unchanged, right?
that's
Now
right.
you
Yeah.
mentioned safe havens, right? So that
Yes,
means a lot of people are going to be turning. Before that, people turn to gold to push the price.
that's
Then
right.
the Fed announcement happens, and we see it
Yep.
tapering off. What's
Mhm.
pushing the surge now, though?
Yeah, I think it's the various market trends dissected into the spot market, the futures market, as well as the options market. So once we've gone into the subject of Bitcoin, I'll explain a little bit more about how the reactions of these markets are actually sort of, I wouldn't say disturbing the trend, but it could actually be a catalyst to
Yeah.
changes in reacting to trends. So I think that is probably one of the major reasons because these markets are very much tied up with the US inflation situation as well, the report and the decisions.
So, moving on to oil,
Yep,
similarly, we've seen oil
yep,
being incredibly volatile
that's
for
right.
the
Yeah.
past year.
Hmm.
And now it's sort of dropped, well, at least WTI is below $80.
Hmm.
Brent crude still above.
Yeah.
What's causing the dip? Because as far as I understand, the northern hemisphere is about to have, its
Hmm.
winter. So
Yes,
I would
correct.
assume that
Hmm.
energy prices would be up, just because people will be using fuel and
That
you
is
know.
true. Yes. I think it's a supply and demand factor. So mainly because of the production cut has actually happened, but the production cut um, is not as expected to be really drastic. So we still have got, I mean, in layman's term, the supply is still there. We've still got loads of supply of barrels meeting the demands, but probably having a surplus of the supply as opposed to having not enough barrels meeting the demand. So that is probably the most important factor. And together with that, we have got the biggest buyer, which is China, is still putting on orders as well. So we've got the demand, steady demand from the biggest buyer as well. And together with that, we've got a little bit of a parity or a balance with regards to the supply or ready supply of barrels of oil. So that does actually then, you know, motivate the bigger boys or the bigger power or buying powers to actually buy when it's cheaper. So hence the reason we have
Yeah.
got, I mean, structurally, we're looking at the chart right now and we're seeing that it's got this multiple lows that it's actually making, and it's trading at 77, 78 at this moment of time. And if we look at longer time frames and to the left of the chart, it's been governed in that area from 70 right down to 60. Has actually been dominated by sellers as well. So there's a bit of a support right down at the 66, 65, 66 area. So I
Yeah.
would think that that could possibly be a target for the sellers to look at, to look at the price going down to that level before it bounces up again. So possibly bouncing up anywhere between 60, 63 right to the 65 area, looking at a potential bounce of price. But of course, the market would pick up a little bit more in a psychological level of 68, 69,
Yeah.
$70. So yeah, that's what I
What
see on the charts.
what do you think would push it um, above, as we saw, $90 again?
I think clear and concise decisions by the OPEC group
Right.
communicated through the news and how the news takes it further to have that decisions because nothing substitutes clarity when it comes to OPEC decisions and being streamed to the mainstream media as well. So I would think it's the next meeting, and that could then, and what happens before and after the meeting would give a better clarity on the price of oil.
Cool. Moving on to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Now, there is an asset which has had a very tumultuous, well, I would say at least 3 years. I mean, I
yeah,
remember, 3 years ago when Bitcoin was pushing, above $70,000,
that's right.
and people were quite expecting it to push to 100. And
Yes,
then it dropped and
that's
dropped
right.
and dropped and dropped. And we've
hmm
seen it even hit what, $15,000?
That's right. Yes, yes.
So, and then in the last few weeks, we've seen Bitcoin have a bit of resurgence, even pushing towards
hmm
36K. So, what's
That's
happening
right.
with Bitcoin, man?
Yes, Bitcoin, it's an interesting one, but I think it's probably best for us to look at Bitcoin being segregated into three markets, right? So we've
Okay.
got the spot market, we've got the options market, as well as the futures market. Now, and you're right by saying that it has dropped in within the spot market. It's actually definitely dropped with various factors in the market, interest rates, decisions, commodity prices, everything is interlinked as well to the spot prices of Bitcoin. But we need to also realize that as of yesterday, it was announced that the Bitcoin options market has actually overtaken the futures, the Bitcoin futures market.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, yeah, so that basically is an overall sign of positivity or growth for
Yeah.
Bitcoin in general. And because we're looking at it's not small numbers, we're looking at the BTC options interest itself is at US dollars 17.5 billion in comparison to the 15.8 billion market for futures. So these are all notional open interest. So it's a sign of market maturity. And number two is the influx of sophisticated traders coming into the market. So that is
Okay.
definitely a sign of growth. And most of the other traders, investors would say that okay, we've got the spot market, um, being on the low side, but then we've got this interest in the options market just flourishing as well. So yeah, that's basically it.
We
Positive.
about
Yeah. Mhm.
about a year ago to 6 months ago,
Yeah.
the US government announced that it was going to plan and, well, have implemented, regulations around
Oh
crypto.
yes. Hmm.
And I think that's taking into effect in 2024.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
correct.
wanted to find out your thoughts regarding regulation, especially, now that the whole Sam Bankman-Friedman,
Yes.
crisis is finally, going to be put to rest as he goes to jail. But, he
Absolutely.
wasn't
Yeah.
the only one
Of
behind a
course.
lot of scams in crypto.
Hmm.
So what are your thoughts on regulation?
Oh, my thoughts on regulation is it's a little bit smoky when it comes to knowing what should I actually refer to, because as you know, it's been a long stretch decision marathon. They've
Yeah,
not come down to an exact solid decision when it comes to regulations and policies. And then
yeah,
when as they were just about to to do it or close to doing it, then we've got some big drama happens, and that has been repetitive over one and a half to 2 years now, and we've seen all these while a lot of talk about climbing down and getting into it, but it's a very very complex situation. But of course, I think that the decisions would be in place, and that could um, you know um, impact the markets, the cryptocurrencies market on all the
yeah,
three markets, sub markets that I've mentioned: the
yeah,
futures, the spot, as well as the options. So now looking at Bitcoin options growing to a large extent, I think they would be clamming it down even more in order for them to not face troubles in the future. Because this is a market, a money
right.
avenue in within the crypto market, but then connected to both options and futures. And the US, they are very much pro these markets as opposed to the spot market. And spot markets participation is far smaller if you compare that with both the options as well as the futures market. So I think in order for them to uh, to really lay out a strong, solid foundation for the growth of crypto in general, but predominantly options and futures, I think the climbing down on policies and all that would actually happen 2024 in a higher probability in comparison to the other times than when they were just talking about it and then it was close to it and then something happens. So I think this time around it will actually be reaching more decisions, solid decisions very soon. This is what I predict for 2024 when it comes to crypto policies and conditions.
Cool.
Mm.
And finally, any advice for traders out there? Any trends you've spotted?
Yes, with regards to gold, as we've mentioned, we've still got a little bit more room to the upside, but just to watch out for resistance levels anywhere between 1971 to 1980. So once prices have actually cleared off or breaks out from the 1980 level, I think we'll see a little bit of momentum on the price action side of it. to the upside. But in saying that, we need to also be very wary of the 2015 area, anywhere between 2015 to 2020, to actually be wary of a very strong, solid resistance zone. So yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. And on
Yeah,
that note, I
that's for
think we'll
gold.
leave it there. Uh,
Perfect. Thank you very
awesome.
much.
And I'll see you on the
Good.
next one, Kenny.
Thank you, Sergio. Have a good day. Bye bye.